All right. So we're going to do a review here. I'm not going to do all these, but I'll do a couple of them, and these would be good for you to go back and practice. So if you're looking at these, there's two main types of problems. You have the problems where you have the angle, and you have the problems when you're missing the angle. And that's really what comes down to in the calculator. There's two different things. So like on number one, if it says cosine 72, all you do is hit the cosine button, you hit 72, and you hit enter. 0.309. If you are missing an angle, like number 3, and it says sine, if you're missing the angle, you hit second. Make sure that arrow is up. Make sure you have the little -1 there, and then you just put 0.988. And you're going to round it to the nearest degree, 81 degrees. And that's what all these are. And it doesn't matter whether it's in decimal form, like number 4 or 3, or if it's in fraction form, like numbers 7, 8, 9, and 10. Or sorry, 7, 8, 9. Okay? And then, the two types of problems, number 9 and 10, I will do both of those. Cosine 39 equals x over 12. If you cover up the, don't do this, but if you cover that up and you just had a regular problem like in algebra, 39 equals x over 12, what would you do? Well, x is being divided by 12, so you would multiply by 12. Guess what? You do the same thing here. Okay? Cosine 39 is just a number. Just like we proved in number 1, if we type in cosine 39 in the calculator, we get a decimal. Cosine 39 itself, this thing is a quantity. It is a number, which we can multiply by 12. So we do that, and we just type in 12 times cosine 39. Now just to prove my point, watch. Cosine 39, what is it? It's a decimal. And if we take that times 12, what do we get? Same answer. Okay? 9.32 or 9.33. Over here, if x is on the bottom, we can just switch these two. So we just type in our calculator 26 divided by tangent of 34. 38.55. And that's it. The rest of them you can do for practice if you like or when you need it. All right, so all mixed up. We're going to solve for the missing side or angle. So just as a reminder, SOH CAH TOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. Now, what do we have? We're solving for this angle. So, with this angle, we have the hypotenuse, that's good to label, and then we have the opposite side. Now, which one is opposite and hypotenuse? That's sine. So, we just say sine of 26 equals opposite, unknown, over hypotenuse. And like we just went over, these two switch and we type in our calculator. I'm sorry, my bad. Brain just kind of left my body for a minute here. X is on the top, so we're going to simply multiply by 34. So we type in our calculator, 34 times sine of 26. 14.9. And we also check to make sure it makes sense. It's less than our hypotenuse or along the side. We're good to go. Number 2, where's our angle? Oh, look, we're missing an angle. That means we're going to hit that second key. Now, we don't have a hypotenuse, so that means we're not going to be doing sine or cosine, because there is no h. From x, this is my opposite, good to label, and right next door is my adjacent. So that means I'm doing tangent. So tangent of the unknown, x, is opposite over adjacent. So I just take my handy dandy calculator. I'm trying to find the angle, so I hit that second key, tangent, 30 divided by 60. 26.57. So you could put 27 degrees. I would take 26.5 degrees or 27 degrees. Either one's fine. But don't round down to 26 degrees, please. All right. So here's my angle. We do have a hypotenuse. And we have the adjacent side. So that's A and H, that's cosine. So cosine of the unknown, x, equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Now again, since we're trying to find an angle, we're going to hit that second key. So we say second cosine, and then just type in 40 divided by 42. 17.7, so about 18 degrees, rounded. More practice, that's all this is. I'm finding an angle, so I'm going to hit my second key. We have the hypotenuse, and we have the adjacent side. So that's cosine, CA. Cosine of the unknown equals adjacent over hypotenuse. We type in our calculator, second cosine, 70 divided by 86. 35.5. Again, I will take 35.5 degrees since it's right in the middle, or you can round up to 36 degrees. Just don't round down to 35. Number 5. Oh, we know the degrees. Okay, here's our angle. So what do we have? Opposite and adjacent. Okay, opposite adjacent is TOA. Notice we don't have any hypotenuse, so it has to be tangent. Tangent of 40 equals TOA, opposite, over adjacent. X on the top, we multiply by 16. We take our calculator, and we just type in 16 times tangent of 40, 13.4. Three. 13.43. There are 2 rounds up. Let me just keep going. What do we have? Here's our angle. We do have a hypotenuse, so it's not going to be tangent. And here we have adjacent. So A and H is cosine of 52 degrees equals CA, adjacent, over hypotenuse. X is on the top, so we just multiply by 5. And we type in our calculator, 5 times cosine 52 degrees. And we're going to get 3.08. Which makes sense because it's less than our hypotenuse of 5. All right, on this one, we're just looking at what we got here. Just practice. So sine of G, where are we at for G? We're right here. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Okay? So from G, this is opposite, that's hypotenuse. 12 over 13. Now sine of P, I'm going to do this in a different color. Sine is still opposite over hypotenuse, but for P, the opposite is over here. Hypotenuse is the same. So that's going to be 5 over 13. Okay? Tangent from G. Remember, tangent is TOA. So we need opposite and a hypotenuse. So from G, what's opposite? We already know that. 12. We said that. And what's adjacent? Well, we know 13 is the hypotenuse, so that leaves us with 5. Cosine of P. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So from P, we already established 5 was the opposite. That means 12 is the adjacent. And the hypotenuse doesn't change. The hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse because it's opposite the right angle. All right, this requires some drawing. A 30-foot ladder leans against a 20-foot building. So draw your building. You can put windows in it if you want. You don't have to. There's your building. Okay? It's only a 20-foot building. It's a little building, 20 feet tall. All right? Now, the ladder is 30 feet. Okay? What angle does it make with the ground? So we're trying to find this angle here. Here's the ground, right? Try to find that angle. Well, let's see. Hopefully the building's at a right angle to the ground. Otherwise, it's the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So we have 20 here, and we have 30 there. Well, 20 is our opposite, and 30 is our hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse is sine. We don't know this, so we're going to be using our second key. So sine of x equals opposite over hypotenuse. Second, sine 20 divided by 30. 41.8, so we'll just round it to about 42 degrees. So that's a 42-degree angle right there with the ground. All right, now this one looks weird because there's multiple question marks. That's because we can go multiple ways of doing this. So let's say we wanted to use 30. Okay? This is the opposite. Okay? If we wanted to find this, it's the adjacent. So that's tangent. Tangent of 30 equals opposite over adjacent. We switch these. So 14 divided by tangent of 30. $24.25. We can also find out the hypotenuse. Because we have the hypotenuse, and we're trying to find, we have the opposite, and we're trying to find the hypotenuse, that's sine. Sine of 30 equals opposite over hypotenuse. Again, switch these. Okay? So we're just going to do on our calculator again, switch them. 14 divided by sine of 30 this time. 28. Which is bigger than 14 and 24.25, so that makes sense. Okay? Not to mention, if we think back to our 30, 60, 90 triangles, this is the short leg, and this over here is the hypotenuse. This should be 2 times 14. And this should be 14 square root of 3. 14 times the square root of 3. Hey, look at that. 24.25. Now, Could we have done this without any sine or tangent? Yes, based on our 30, 60, 90 triangle knowledge. Okay? But you want to see here that you can use it either way. Whatever you're most comfortable with, you can go either way. Now, this is a little extra, but we could also do it with 60. Okay? If we wanted to use a 60-degree angle, we could have set up 2 there. So if we wanted to use the 14, and we wanted to find this down here, okay, 14 is adjacent, and the question mark is opposite. So that would have been tangent of 30 degrees, I'm sorry, my bad, 60 degrees equals opposite over adjacent. And we multiply by 14. 14 times the tangent of 60. Look at that, 24.25. And if we want to find the hypotenuse using 60, that'd be adjacent and hypotenuse. So that'd be cosine of 60 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Switch these. 14 divided by cosine of 60. Look at that, 28. We get the same answer because mathematically you can use either way. Either method is fine. All right? This one, same thing. Not going to go through it. You could go through it for practice if you wanted. Now notice, since we have the long leg, and we are doing decimals, we could just divide by square root of 3, and then double it to go here. That's it though. Oh, never mind. There's one more. But on this one, notice we could do tangent. We could use sine, cosine, tangent. Okay, to find. Well, no, we couldn't on this one. My bad. On this one, since we don't have any degrees here, we just have sides. This is going to be a squared, b squared, c squared. So x squared plus 6 squared equals 10 squared. So that's x squared equals 100 minus 36. X squared equals 64. Square root both sides. X is 8, which is less than my hypotenuse, which makes sense. Now we're done.